welcome to the program. I am your host, Phatman.
And I'm Little Boy.
And this is our weekly Netcast podcast for the end, because this will be the end of the month, the end of May 2012.
May 21st.
May 21st, that's right, we're going to do that way.
Yes.
First off, I want to talk a little bit about our show. Sorry I was gone last week. I was in Las Vegas.
Yep.
Had a great time.
Yeah.
As we told the people live who were watching us live, I'll explain it here on the recorded version. We are going to take a little bit of a hiatus. One of our shows, Pound for Pound Sports Talk with Nick and Darren, is going to be on the radio and has some other pressing engagements that are going to basically take my time and Little Boy's time.
Well, for a couple of reasons. First of all, we want to dedicate as much of our energy towards that because it is just incredibly exploding right now. Those guys are doing a fantastic job.
They are.
And second, because we're kind of in a holding pattern waiting because we like to talk politics a lot, and we're kind of waiting for the debates to start. That's when we think we can kind of ramp it back up again. Until then, we're just kind of recycling everything, and it's starting to get that part of it's starting to get a little stale. And
plus, Little Boy has other shows too, and I am one of the main producers here, so it's hard to do that. This is our pet project. We love this. We have loyal fans. We thank you very much for being loyal fans.
Our whole deal started with this show.
This show as a podcast.
Right, and it's not going away.
It's definitely coming back. So
just
please,
taking a few weeks off.
Just taking a few weeks off. As soon as it's ready, it'll be posted on our website, be posted on phatmanandlittleboy.com or our Facebook page, and you'll also be receiving tweets. And we do thank you very much. There is a few things we want to talk about tonight. Of course, if something major happens, we will definitely come right back on.
Absolutely.
Just like I said, we're talking a month at most.
Yeah, at most.
At most. So, Little Boy, there is one thing I want to talk about because next week you do your marathon.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
And I wanted to cover that, so maybe we can come back for a little bit of segment on that, just a real quick, maybe on location. Also, there's no reason why, since we're both going to be there, that we couldn't do a little blurb of a Phatman and Little Boy show on location with PFP.
Absolutely.
So we'll do what we can and make sure it's on there. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I know that you're probably watching this on the website, which is through Vimeo, but we also have YouTube, Daily Motion. There's quite a few of them. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, give it a subscribe. We have multiple YouTube channels, one for Pound, one for PMLB Media, which is what you're watching us on if you're watching through YouTube. A couple for PMLB Sports. PMLB Sports is not going away. PFP Sports is its own entity, and so you're going to see a little bit of drop down. I know that you have a couple of the shows. We have the Roundtable, and that's a great show. And we have that you're on. We have Padre Cast, which is a really good show.
We're actually converting over to a Padre Cast / San Diego sports. It's going to be all San Diego sports, not just Padre. It'll be Padre heavy during the Padre season.
Sure, and then it's going to go sports.
Shift over to being Charger heavy during the Charger season. But it's all going to cover Aztecs. It's going to Charger.
And we're not going to lose that because Darren, one of the stars of PFP Sports, is also going to be on that show.
We're kind of merging that with the Aztec show. Is kind of what we're doing.
You know, it's funny because both of those shows have gained popularity that's unbelievable, and we get a lot of complaints that, hey, the last 2 weeks they haven't been on. And the only reason why is, one, the Padres aren't doing so great. Except last night they did...
won the second game in a row. They're playing right now, too. So we're hoping to get our first 3-game winning streak. We're leading right now.
But like I said, don't give up on PMLB Media. We're going to put a lot of time in Pound for Pound for right now. That's just because once we get them off, the little fledglings, and on their way up into the radio circuit, they'll be taken care of. Yeah. Little Boy, how was your week?
Good. I did my last long run for my half marathon training. My buddy that I'm running with, we went out to run between 11 and 13 miles. We ran about 13 miles, but we got lost, so we ended up walking after that, and we ended up doing about 18 miles.
So you got lost. Now, I got a question for you.
I know.
Where were you born? What city were you born in?
I was born in La Mesa.
So that's part of San Diego?
Right.
And have you ever moved outside of San Diego?
No, I have not.
So you're in your late 30s.
Yes.
How did you get lost?
Well, I don't want to say the word lost like we were, getting ready to start killing bears and stuff to eat.
I could look up the definition of lost for you.
I know.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
You don't need to do that. What it was we got a little turned around. We started out, if anybody knows where Belmont Park is, we started out at Belmont Park. We ran down to Crystal Pier. We cut over and we went around the bay, and we came over to Fiesta Island and to SeaWorld. And from there, we wanted to get back to Belmont Park. The problem is we turned the wrong way, and we went back up to, I'm trying to remember what it was. Belmont Park's over here basically, and we went way over here, like way the wrong way. And by the time we figured it out, we were so tired, our feet hurt so bad, we were all sunburned. As I don't know if you can tell on the screen or not,
Definitely
but my
sunburned.
face is red and burning. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready to run this thing.
I think you're going to do great.
I am so excited. I'm ready to do it. My feet hurt right now. I'm a little sore from yesterday, but I have 2 weeks now. Next week, I'm going to just do a 5-mile short run just to, on Sunday, just to kind of keep the blood flowing, but not to tire myself out. And then I am ready to go. I'm going to kill this thing.
am looking forward to it. I will be down there for your race, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too.
I'm not going to go when you start because I do sleep in.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I will be down there for the race.
You ready for your definition?
Yes, please. What's our definition, Jen? Go ahead.
Definition of loss: having gone astray or missed the way, bewildered as to place and direction.
Well, he's definitely bewildered. We know that on the show.
Yeah, that's just I'm running full time at bewildered.
So yeah, I believe lost. I would go with lost. Well, listen, let's get into our show today.
Okay.
And because I know you have a couple things you want to talk about.
I want to tell you real quickly, we streamed the PFP Sports guys press conference. We streamed it live from location, first time we've ever done that, and I just want to give a shout out to you for making that happen. We started with the streaming a few months ago from here, and that was always Phatman's dream. We want to be able to stream live. Well, we grabbed all the equipment. We went on location. We used cell phones. We used data cards. We used everything that we could find out, and the stream went off great. And I give you kudos for that.
Thank you very much.
I think you did a great job.
I
really do.
I am enjoying this to no end. And I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before, but we started in my house on a sofa with a $50 mixer, 2 $20 microphones. Actually, less than that, because I had the headphones with the microphone that we used on Skype.
Old computer one.
Yeah, the old computer one.
I had my iPod.
Yeah, and the mixer board didn't work, so we actually had to use tinfoil to get it to start.
We crumpled it in there to get the connection right.
We now
get sound in one.
We now have a large studio. It's only 1,000 square foot, but that's good. With about $50,000 worth of equipment, so we have gone from where we were to where we are at, and I'm really happy with it.
Hopefully, we're nowhere near where we're gonna get.
No. What I want to do is, we're just gonna keep going, and we really, it's people like you who helped us out. We really appreciate it. Basically, going to our sponsors like goldandsilver.com.
Yep.
We have it on our website. You just give them a click through and take a look at it and learn a little bit about gold, learn a little bit about silver. My daughters are investing through the website.
Nice.
So they're good for them, And
also, you can call in anytime during the show, 619-387-3457. We'll take your call and talk to you right during the show. Do you want to get into it now?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, Penn Jillette. I'm actually a pretty big fan of his. I don't always agree with everything he says, but I'm a pretty big fan of his. He accuses President Obama of class warfare for his drug policy and his view on states' rights. Now, it's interesting because recently big news happened when President Obama came out in support of gay marriage. But I think he kind of basically said he thinks it should be a states' right thing, which you're a big fan of anyway, states' rights. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with that either. I personally believe that I don't know why it would be made illegal to have the same-sex people marry. I think that that's stupid anyways, but I would accept if they had each individual state decide on their own. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
California did.
Yeah.
So you're accepting with California's?
Well, you have to. I don't like it. I think that the reason why people voted for that is I disagree with them.
Well, let's go. But you know what? We could talk about gay marriage, but let's go to this. Anyways,
basically he was complaining because Obama was in favor of states' rights for gay marriage, but he still is not in favor of states' rights for marijuana. And it was he kind of called him a hypocrite for it, and I kind of agree with him. I'm an Obama supporter, but I don't love everything about him, and this is one thing that I agree with Penn Jillette. I think that he's being a little bit of a hypocrite about it, and one of the things that Penn Jillette, he went off in a big rant. I don't know if you heard it or not. You should look for it. A big rant because Obama smoked pot as a youngster. Most people have. I have tried it before. I'm not a pot smoker, but I have tried pot before. I don't think you ever have.
Never have.
If they use the same laws against President Obama, when he was younger, would he have ever been president? If they prosecuted him,
You know, it's funny you said
under
this,
the
because
same
we talked
laws
about
that
this earlier.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. No one forces you to break the law.
Right.
And once you break the law, if you get caught and you can't be president, good for you. Because you know what? You broke the law. And we were talking about this earlier. I like Penn Jillette. I used to not like him. Then I started to really like him. But as of late, I've been watching a lot of his videos on YouTube. And there's a lot of these, he calls it the glass something, or where he's just out there talking about different things on his patio. The only thing I really like is the fact that he's more libertarian in view. But
he's like a true libertarian.
What he really missed the boat on this, because I understand where he was saying, no, and if he would have got caught and he's a hypocrite. First off, the president should never admitted to breaking the law in the first place. Whatever, he didn't lie. Okay. But the thing is, if he would have got caught, absolutely, he should have been punished, just like everybody else would have been.
Well,
and the thing is, what I'm saying is, nobody forces you to break the law. If you break the law and you get caught, I have zero sympathy for you. Right. Zero. So he's upholding the law as the law that it is, you know. And what Penn Jillette said about the fact that, well, you know, he's being a hypocrite. Listen, he didn't get caught. Good for him. But everybody else who gets caught... But what he's
saying, he's a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite because he's in favor of states' rights for some things and not for others.
Well, I know why he's ditching the gay marriage deal, because it's a much larger hotbed.
Well, you know,
than the marijuana.
We've said this before about laws. Anyways, if you disagree with the law, fight the law. Try and change the law. But you can't just break it just because you don't agree with it. Right.
You know? But like I said, I have zero sympathy. So somebody gets caught.
These are two things that are hard to compare anyways, because you can't, if there's a law saying if you're gay, you can't marry someone of the same sex, you can't break that law. It's not because you can't just go get married anyways.
Right.
You know, with marijuana, you can break that law. You know, if you disagree with the law, which I personally don't smoke marijuana, but I disagree with the law, I would vote to.
The problem is you don't have enough evidence. There's not enough evidence on the marijuana issue.
On either side.
Right, but you always err in the way of caution. So basically, you want to say, well, heck, let's just try it, or it's better to say,
They have lots of evidence for what alcohol does to you.
Alcohol, right?
That's not illegal.
It was for a long time,
but it's not now. Yeah, I don't care what it was.
But the thing is, with alcohol, you could either drink it or not.
Marijuana?
No, I'm just saying. Some people do, some people don't. It is legal. When it was illegal, I would have been against it. It's legal now.
Well,
you know, the thing about marijuana is, right now, I personally don't believe there's enough evidence out there. And you never, in my mind, I would never say, hey, you know what, we don't know what LSD does to people, so go ahead and take it, and then when we get to the end and we find out, oh, hey, it turned them into crazies, let's make it illegal. You don't do that. What you do is you make it illegal, test it, then find out if it's okay. Well, and the same thing with marijuana, because the problem is smoking anything, burning anything at all, is bad for you.
Right.
It just is. So whether it's the most clean herbal crap in the world.
A lot of people's complaints are why one over the other. Smoking cigarettes is proved to be bad for you.
Yes, and it's slowly but surely getting outlawed.
It's not being outlawed. They're just making it
almost impossible. Well, think about it. In New York City, you can't smoke anywhere now. Anywhere.
But the laws for that are not protecting the smoker. They're protecting the people around the smoker.
That's fine, too. So basically, you're going to continue that same deal with anything that's smoking. So even if marijuana did ever become legal, it's still going to be a smoking deal.
Yeah, it'll still fall under the smoking
Yes,
laws.
it's still going to fall under
I just think that it should be legal. You know, I tried to do some research, and it was actually very difficult to find some numbers. Penn Jillette threw out some numbers. I don't remember exactly what they are. They seemed ridiculous. He was like they were like 80% of people in prison right now are in there for marijuana related, which seemed really high. I could be off on
definitely not in California. Nothing happens to you here.
One of the things I found is federal prisons, they spend more than $1 billion annually for people who are there strictly for marijuana.
Okay.
And that's definitely some money that they could save.
Well, but can they? Why are they there? Are they there just because they were smoking it, using it personal? No. They're there for trafficking. They're there for selling to kids. They're there for selling at schools. Most of the people who get federal raps on stuff it's in the trafficking section.
The thing is, the money that they save they can put towards education. They can actually, they talk about...
come on. You tell, they have been trying to educate people from smoking forever, and they still smoke.
Yeah, but there are less people
But I have a
smoke.
question for you then. Even if they make it legal, and these people are still trafficking it to schools or kids or somebody who's illegal, they're still going to end up in jail. There's no difference there.
You're right about
that.
If federally, if you traffic cigarettes to kids in school,
you go to jail too. So the thing is, I don't think federally you're going to lose. You're going to save on that $1 billion. I think that's still going to be there because those are traffickers. For the state of California, if you're a user and you don't have a card, you get a traffic ticket. Right. It's not even, it's nothing.
I think that the whole medical marijuana thing was almost kind of to get the whole marijuana thing foot in the door, I think.
Yeah, but they had the wrong people doing it. Yeah, the problem is you have people like Sean Penn, people like Woody Harrelson, and these are people, Joe Rogan. These are the wrong people to have.
We had DB call in before, and the problem is, all it is it gives almost like a bad, because I think the people who actually originally went with, tried to pass this whole medical marijuana thing legitimately wanted it used for medical purposes.
Didn't happen.
But the problem is even, like I said, when DB called in, she even knows most people who have the medical marijuana cards don't have an issue. It's just their excuse for smoking marijuana.
Although, my doctor tried to push it on me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I take medication every day for my leg because I have a disability, and he's, nervous about my kidneys and my liver, and he said, I would like you to try it, and I told him, no. I'd rather die of cirrhosis of the liver than do it, because you know why? I don't believe it's good for medication. I don't believe in it at all. Even if it was legal, I would never try it. And that's it.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, so that's what I told them. Yeah. But they do push it. You got pushers out there that push it.
Well, probably because that doctor does believe that it has benefits. I don't think that was a doctor that said, hey, man, let's get high because I can get you high. I think that doctor legitimately
he thinks that it's worth a shot.
First of all, what do they call...
It's not worth a shot to
What do they call... What do doctors do? What is it called? It's called practice.
Well, that's true.
Because they don't know. Because everybody's
practicing
different.
Constantly.
Because everybody's different. What works for you might not work for me. And I don't have a problem. And, the fact that he suggested it to you and you weren't interested in it and that was it, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for. He's there to say, I think this might work. And you say, I'm against it. And okay.
And that's exactly what happened.
All right.
And I asked him, I said, no, you know who you're talking to? He goes, oh, yeah, I forgot.
So the system worked perfectly then.
Yeah. But the difference is, other people in there, whether they have just headaches or something, they might just get it. Right. But we don't know for sure if it does anything. Right.
We don't know if it has any benefits. We don't know what all the drawbacks are. The only drawbacks we know is when you inhale smoke, it is bad for you.
No matter what.
Right.
And it's bad for the person sitting next to you, no matter what.
If you're blowing smoke on them.
Yeah.
Or they are inhaling it as well.
So there's the rub.
But there are other ways to ingest marijuana.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know, but I think that's definitely the most popular way.
So, I don't know.
Plus, you have to trust the people who are growing it. Here's what's going to happen. The cartel in Mexico is never going to go legitimate.
Right.
So even if it gets legal. Oh, yes. Even if it gets legal.
You still have issues with alcohol.
Right. And you still have issues with cigarettes. We had talked about that on our show. But I don't see the cartel going... Well, the thing that's really funny is there is documented cases of the cartel paying to legislators here to keep it illegal.
Right.
Because that's where they make their money. That's in their best interest.
Right.
So, you know that, would it help? I don't know. But there's no way in the heck they're going to pay taxes on it. There's no way they're going to regulate it.
The big illegal cartels are never going to go away.
Ever.
But you still have people making, moonshine and all that type of stuff too. It happens, But what it's going to do is it is bad for them, just like... bookies and stuff in Vegas do not want gambling legalized in the whole United States.
Never. They fought the Indians like crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But what if...
But I can tell you something...
And gambling is another state's right issue that nobody has a problem with.
No, but I can tell you, and especially since I am going to be working in the future with the tribal government, gambling has done two things. And this is coming right from some of these people who are actually on... Indian... I'm not going to say who it is, but it has helped them get off of the welfare, but it has hurt the heck out of their kids.
I have a friend who I went to high school with who was on the tribal council of one of the casinos. I'm not going to say it because one of the Indian reservations because I'd have to speak to him first. I wouldn't mind getting him on our show sometime to
They
actually
won't talk
about it. You don't think so?
No, because I asked someone
Well,
that probably...
talk to him anyway. He talked to me about it.
Yeah, but he won't talk on the air. Because
Okay,
I asked her and she wouldn't talk on the air.
Yeah, if he won't, he won't. He doesn't have to. That's why I'm being very secretive about him, not saying who it is. But I thought it was an interesting take that Penn Jillette had. Penn Jillette is he is just so libertarian. He thinks that there should be almost no laws. He's like almost borderline anarchist. You know, he's basically like, if you want to do something and it hurts you, why should we say, you know? And the problem with that, that I have with that is when you're doing stuff that hurts you, it also, you know, you can be
could hurt others. Well, you know, I don't like laws either, but the thing is...
Well, you always say that, but you love laws that, as long as a law you agree with.
Yeah,
as long as it's something that you agree with.
I'll be honest with that.
So
I mean,
that's
now, the thing about Penn's... we have to go to the next one, but the thing about Penn... Jen, where are we at?
20.
20? Okay. The thing about Penn's thing here was, I just didn't like that his deal was, you know, you would have been, how would you like it? Well, guess what? I have zero.
I know,
I want that
but
out.
that's what I think.
And do you have remorse over people who break the law and getting caught?
No, I mean, we all know the law, you know.
And that's it.
But it comes down to, like, what about the guy who stole a loaf of bread to feed his family?
He stole it.
Know?
I mean, what can you do? You know, it's terrible. We all have to make decisions.
There's degrees, you know.
Can I give you guys, because for those out there that haven't read about what Penn Jillette actually said, part of his problem is that not just the weed. He also said, Obama also said in his book that he did a little bit of weed and what was the other thing?
A little bit of blow.
And maybe a little blow.
Maybe a little blow.
That's the wording that was in there. And what Jillette said is that if he had been caught, he wouldn't have gone to a big blank college. He wouldn't have met his wife. He wouldn't have a great job. He would never have become president.
No.
And that's his thing about it. But the other thing it says about Jillette that some people probably don't know, and something that we've learned from watching him on the Celebrity Apprentice, he has never done drugs,
never drank
alcohol in
a
his
drop
life.
of alcohol.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, just because he chooses not to, he doesn't think that it should be legislated for other people to.
But, you know, let's go on to the blow issue real quick.
He thinks, well, first of all, Penn Jillette thinks all drugs should be legal.
Yeah, well, that's like
they should all be legal.
You know, and they try to say this stuff that, like in Amsterdam, you know, that it's gone legal and there's hardly any problems. Okay, when's the last time you've seen Amsterdam at a G8 summit?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't see Denmark ever doing anything like that.
It's like the party school of the world.
It is. Okay, well, gosh, I'm glad you guys don't have a lot of... Spain is the same way. Spain has... Or Portugal has completely legalized drugs. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I'm sure glad you're protecting the world. Oh, wait a minute, you're not. Okay.
Like it is, and I say this a lot. Like it is, everybody has a different line.
Oh, that's true.
Everybody has a different line. Apparently, Penn Jillette's line is way down here. Yours is way up here, and mine's somewhere in between the two of you.
Yours bounces up.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when I learn more.
All right, continue.
Okay.
I want to hear you say this name.
Yeah, that's Darren Ravi. I think I got that right. He's an Indian gentleman.
Man, you might have that right. I was really hoping you were going to totally...
He was sentenced to jail in the Rutgers webcam case. Now, for those of you who don't know, what happened was he had a gay roommate, and his gay roommate was having a friend over. So this guy turned his webcam on and broadcast and these guys were kissing, and they didn't know it, and he broadcast it, and it was kind of like him just kind of almost poking fun at somebody who's different. The problem was the gentleman who got spied on, we'll call it spying, found out about it, was devastated, and committed suicide. Now, he faced 10 years in prison. I think he ended up getting 6 months.
No.
Okay.
I pulled the article up. He has 30 days in jail for spying on his gay roommate who later committed suicide.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Is it his fault?
Here's the thing the issue I have with suicide. I've talked suicide a lot privately with people. I've had times in my life where I felt depressed.
You ever killed yourself? Obviously not.
No. I have a...
How can I not say that? Good.
I have a hard time. I really try not to judge people, even though you can't keep from doing that. I just think that committing suicide is a very, very selfish act.
Very.
I think it's a very selfish act. When I hear that somebody committed suicide, my first reaction, and I can't control it, is anger. That's
Sure.
the first thing I feel is anger towards that person. What something like this does, and I must say that I stole a little bit of this from Penn Jillette as well. I heard him talking about this over a month ago before this trial went down. When you punish somebody for doing something and that person that he did to committed suicide, you're normalizing suicide. What you're doing is you're saying this person was whatever this person did was so bad that person had no other choice but to commit suicide. And I disagree with that.
Of course.
I disagree with that. Now, if you want to punish this guy for spying, I have no problem because that's what he did.
Sure, the guy had a right to privacy.
You want to punish a bully for being a bully or for doing all that stuff? Punish them for being a bully. But if you bully somebody and that person commits suicide, if you were going to punish them for that person committing suicide, like charge them with murder or whatever, you're normalizing suicide. You're saying that is what that person did made it that you understand why the other person committed suicide. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I completely understand what you're saying. First off, how do you let's go to bullies in school.
Yes. Because there's been a lot of...
Sure.
I want to see that documentary, by the way. They had that documentary on bullies. I wouldn't mind seeing it just to see it.
It's terrible. I believe the parents should really be involved if their kid's a dumb jerk and is doing something like that to others. But whose fault is it if someone commits suicide? Let me tell you, the girls, my daughters, I'm going to go straight out and put them out here and throw them under the bus. Okay? If someone looks at them crooked in school, they will come home and cry and freak out and have this huge explosion of emotions because someone looked at them crooked.
Everything's dramatic.
We bought my daughter a really nice car. She's 16 years old, and when I was 16 years old, I drove an old Buick and loved every minute of it. We bought her a nice little sports car convertible. You've seen it.
I've seen it.
Beautiful car, right?
Yes.
Some dumb girl there says it's a white trash car, which I can't understand how a little convertible is a white trash car.
I've seen white trash cars before. It's not white
I
trash.
have a white trash car. I drive one every day, and I love it. The thing is, she came home, and she wouldn't drive her car for a week. A week. It's sitting in my driveway, a nicer car than I drive, and I'm looking at it and just thinking, how ridiculous is this? So the reason why I'm saying this is, do I blame the parents of that kid for my kid not driving her car? Absolutely. Do I blame that kid? No, the kid's just a dumb idiot. Do I blame my daughter? 100% I blame her, because you know why? She's not mature enough to make a decision. This guy who took his life showed immaturity. He showed that, oh my gosh, my life is ruined. Your life is not ruined, people. It's not ruined.
That's one thing, after the whole Junior Seau thing.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about you. I was so angry that the news talked about Junior Seau for hours. And you talked about it in your sports show. I almost cut you guys off.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
We did, just a little bit. You can't not talk about it. The thing is, I actually talked with my youngest daughter, and I was explaining to her, I said, the thing about suicide is, I said, you've had times where you have felt bad. And I actually reminded her of an instance where something had gone wrong and she was in trouble and she had made some mistakes and she went to bed that night crying, and the next morning she woke up and she was just, she looked like her puppy died. She just looked so sad, and it was her own fault, and she knew that, and it was just, and I said, you've probably in your short little life never felt worse than that ever. And she said, yeah. And I said, are things better now?
Of course.
She said, of course they are. I said, they always will get better. They will always, no matter how bad you feel. I've had times in my life where I felt terrible. I've had times where things were going wrong. They always get better.
You don't believe in the Bible, but there's a scripture in the Bible that says, this too shall pass. Okay. And let me explain why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how bad you have it, the person who has a child that has leukemia would trade places with you in a heartbeat. The person who is dying of cancer would trade places with you in a heartbeat. The person who has, massive amputee, no matter how bad your life is, would trade places with you in a heartbeat. There is nothing that suicide does. It is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And no matter how bad you have it, and let me tell you, I have had a very rough go of it the last few years. This show saved me from huge depression, but I never would have. Yeah.
You were talking to me about that in the beginning, how you were,
but
because you hurt yourself.
No, because I was injured. Okay. If I hurt myself, that's one thing, because then it would be my own decision.
I misspoke.
Yeah. Anyway, there is no reason to do that. What I don't like is that when I was a kid, when you heard of someone who committed suicide, you didn't talk about that person. It was taboo. It was like, whoa, they killed themselves. And if you had a family member to kill themselves, you didn't tell anybody except for... But today, it becomes like this big thing, and then they go to school, like when somebody at the school does it, and they all sob and grieve. Here's the problem. You got these dumb kids, and I'm going to say it again. They are absolutely stupid children that will turn around, and they'll see all this attention this person's getting who just committed suicide, and all of a sudden, you're right, it not normalizes it, but normalizes it. And it brings them to the point where they say, well, I'll get the same attention.
Yeah.
Instead of, if you do that, you're going to hell. There's no way out of that. Doesn't matter how it is.
It's funny.
That's it.
I don't believe in heaven and hell.
I know you don't.
In hell, but I did find it a little interesting because I watched part of the tribute they had for Junior Seau at the stadium, and everybody up there talked about how Junior's looking down on him from heaven.
He ain't looking down on heaven. He's down in hell. That's it.
I thought that was interesting because the people that that really truly do believe that bogus. I'm sorry. They should know that. Isn't that a sin? I mean,
absolutely, it's a sin. It's a mortal sin. You cannot come back from that. You kill yourself, you go to hell.
One thing I wanted to let you guys know is I was reading the article about this, and the kid who I think part of made it such a big story. The kid was 18. He threw himself off the George Washington Bridge.
Yes.
So he was young.
So he's an idiot.
Right.
He was an idiot.
The problem
I'm sorry you're dead. I'm sorry to his family.
That's
and
what
let me
I'm
tell
sorry
you.
for. I'm sorry for his friends and his family and anybody who might
not
know
for him.
him. The problem is you have all of these issues and all of these problems, and I'm speaking from someone who's obviously never felt this exactly the same way as him because he killed himself. But what you're doing is you're saying, I can't handle these problems. They're yours. I'm just going to make them all yours and more.
Selfish.
And you look at someone like, we'll say Junior Seau again, and did you see his mother?
She was, and I'm sure today, this is weeks later, she's still extremely devastated.
Well, let me ask you this.
She's probably the rest of her life devastated.
Let me ask you this. If you came home and found one of your children dead from something self-inflicted, and I'll throw this at producer Jen too, would you ever get over that?
No.
Never.
No.
And that was my point about saying that the kid was 18, is he did this to his family and his friends, not himself.
Yeah.
It is...
No, he ended it for him. He didn't have to deal with it anymore.
Absolutely. And I would never get over that because I would feel like as a parent, especially because the kid's only 18, he's young and stupid still, as Phatman said, I would feel like I didn't let my kid know there's other options.
Yeah, maybe we need to, maybe parents need to be, we've always talked about what do they call them, the helicopter parents that are hovering too much, but I think we have the two extremes going on right now. You have the
My wife is one of those. I saw it last week.
You have the helicopter parents, and then you have what do we want to call them, the laissez-faire parents, the ones that...
That's me.
So maybe you guys are perfect between the two of you. Maybe that's why you guys are married. Because what do I ask you all the time?
Why am I married?
How are you? No, not
how
why.
am I married?
How are you still married? Maybe that's it. Maybe you guys are on ends of the extreme. Maybe you guys average each other out. But maybe that's one of the issues is the fact that there's parents that they're not involved enough with their kids and they don't talk enough about their kids. When this whole Junior Seau thing, I sat down with both of my kids and talked to them. I want to be able to talk about stuff like this and explain to them how this is not acceptable. What he did is not. It's not normal. It's not. It's not
acceptable.
It's not a reasonable
that's for sure.
thing to do.
Well, listen, little boy, this has been a great show, and I really could talk to you for this for hours. I'm sure we're way into the 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But what are we at?
35.
Oh,
34.
Good. Very good. Very good. Thank you for watching. We actually had 5 viewers throughout the whole thing.
Not bad.
To us, for a live stream, that's not too bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
You could always reach me at Phatman at phatmanlittleboy.com, or you can get me on Twitter at PhatmanShow.
I'm on Twitter at LBHost, and you can email me at littleboy at phatmanlittleboy.com. If you are at all interested in martial arts or MMA, you need to check out pfpsports.com. These guys They have fighter interviews. Like I said, we live streamed the last weigh-in for the XFS fight series, for the Explode fight series, and it's really neat. They bring a really interesting take. You know, you watch MMA guys on TV. To me, they're boring. I mean, I don't even, you know, it's just boring. These guys tell it like it is.
They're interested, and they tell you what, you know.
Very interesting takes.
They kind of give you the idea of how to do things. And, you know, I'm not a huge MMA fan, never was. Before, I don't know if anybody remembers from our shows months ago.
The first show that they were on.
They were on us, yeah. And I tell you what, I didn't like it. They brought, you know, of course, I'm one of the producers, so I go with them. I was sitting at a table ringside this last weekend, and I got blood on me.
Yes.
And if anybody knows me, I'm a germaphobe, so I freaked out.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
But at the same time, the way these guys are, they're extremely professional, and I'm very proud of them. Very proud of them.
Me too. Me too. They've really taken off with this.
I wish that we had the same celebrity.
Well,
they have headshots and people taking autographs. And the last autograph I got was somebody came to the door and said, "Hey, can I have your signature?"
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our show. We will see you in a month, no later. And really, if we can, we'll cut in and out. I would like to do a little. We're going to do one at a bar in San Diego. Maybe we could just pop in and say, "Hey, everybody." And
we'll see what's going on.
Do a little bit. So
we'll definitely be back when they start doing the debates.
Definitely. And I think Little Boy, good show.
Yeah. Fun, interesting stuff. We could talk about that stuff forever, but
we're done.
Yeah.
And we'll see you real soon.
Take care.